that have been identified to you to look over the roadway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Take pictures, take measurements?
Yes.
Like the one that's up there? And my understanding is the incident occurred on a Saturday. You were back out there this time on a Monday?
Yes, I believe so.
So approximately 48 hours later?
Correct.
Okay. Can you tell me, do you have any recall, or do you know how far apart, there were two bullets located at this location. Do you know how far apart they were located?
No, sir.
Okay. And that there's nothing on that tape that you took that would indicate where that first bullet was located. Is that correct?
No, sir.
Now, you also testified that it's your deduction that this second bullet would have been under the cruiser of the first officer on the scene. Is that correct?
I believe so, sir.
Okay. Now, that's a deduction, though, correct? You don't have any
Yes.
scientific method to show this was under the tire or anything like that?
Correct. When I was called out, I responded right to Hackley. I didn't go to the scene. The initial scene on the 16th was already, they were already gone. They'd already done their stuff.
Okay.
I went to Hackley and met them, and then I went back out and to the scene.
Okay. So, all right. I guess that raises another question for me. The first officer on the scene finds the first bullet, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was there another officer or officers on the scene between the time the first officer was there on Saturday and you were there on Monday?
I don't know, sir.
Could there have been? Might there have been other officers out there looking around?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And tell me how this type of canvas works. What areas were you looking at when you went out there?
When we went back out there after Hackley Hospital, we began walking the sides of the road just to see if maybe something had been thrown in the ditch or check the area there. We walked the road down and the road back.
Okay, the same side of the road?
I believe I walked one side and Detective Levine walked the other, and we went down and back.
Okay. When you say down and back, how far are we talking about? How far a walk are you guys taking?
I didn't measure it. We went quite a ways. We didn't go all the way down to McMillan, but we went quite a ways down.
Okay. You said, well, give me a guesstimate. I know you didn't measure it, but how far down and back did you guys go?
I don't know, 300 yards possibly.
Okay. So approximately 300, maybe outside 400 yards in both directions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this wasn't a canvas where you walked the entire length of this road and the entire length the other way to see if these types of bullets were common in that area, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We did not see anything else when we walked the road.
Okay. So those 300 yards both ways, you found two bullets, correct?
Well, Deputy Blackmere found the first one, and then the second one was located later, and it was where Deputy Blackmere had parked his cruiser when we went out after it being at Hackley Hospital.
All right. You mentioned that you've been in this business for law enforcement for 14 years?
Yes, sir.
And in that time, I assume you've had ammunition placed into evidence, into property rooms, that sort of thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you describe to the jury what happens when you grab evidence and you put it in the property room?
Normally, it would be photographed, and then it would be preserved. We would wear gloves, and it would be preserved for prints.
Okay. And in the case of ammunition, do you put it away, if it's wet, do you put it away wet, or if it's dry, you just leave it as it is, or what's done with it?
I pick it up and I would put it into an envelope as it is. On this day that I picked up this round, it was beginning to rain, so we were trying to get going and get it up.
Right. But if you picked it up, say on a beautiful dry day like today, if you picked it up, you wouldn't have added water to it when you put it into the evidence room, correct?
No, sir. It would have been preserved for DNA and prints.
Once it goes into, in your experience, Detective, once you put a piece of ammunition that goes into the evidence room dry in a sealed plastic bag like you've done, have you known it to corrode while in the evidence room?
I don't know.
Has it ever happened to you that you can recall?
Not that I can recall.
The bullet that you found here, do you check that one has some scuffing on it? I think is what you recall.
Yes, sir.
And it looks, if that's in fact the bullet that you found, it looks to be a bit in the roadway.
Yes.
And there's traffic up and down that road.
Yes.
And it would. And you mentioned that it didn't look like it's been there for months and years, but you don't have any scientific method to determine how long that particular bullet had been in that location.
No, sir.
All right. Okay. Detective, you mentioned in your resolution of this, in your investigation of this particular case, you settled on a Dodge automobile. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What initially, was there any talk about a Town and Country?
Because of the body style, possibly yes.
Okay.
It was never said that. It was just after I went over the band
Yes.
styles with the victim that this video was located.
And why was Town and Country one of the styles that was potential?
Because a Chrysler Town and Country and a Dodge Caravan have the same body styles.
All right. One moment, please. I tried to show this to the last detective, but I think you may be the person I want to see this. Detective, there's some writing that's yellowed on the bottom there.
Yes, sir.
And there's a bunch of initials. Can you tell me what that means, if you know?
Well, the TOT means turned over to, so that would have been turned over to myself. And then the bottom is the date, the time, and then the MCSD is Muskegon County Sheriff's Department. I don't know what the PAC. Oh, I think the PAC is possibly Pat Collins, who reviews our reports. I don't know what the 561 is, and then the MCSD is the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department.
Has the thank you. Has the property room remained the same in the same location during the period of time this entire investigation? In other words, has it been moved from one location to another?
No, sir.
One moment, please. That Town and Country thing has come up. Were you on one or two task forces in this particular matter?
I was on two. I was on the abduction.
Yes.
I was on, and then I was on Heeringa after that.
Okay. Did the Town and Country automobile come up in in both investigations?
No. When I was involved in the Heeringa investigation, we knew what minivan it was. We knew it was a Dodge Caravan.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Just so I'm clear, if you know or not, Detective Schultz, the two unfired rounds, one discovered by Deputy Blackmer, one discovered by you, were
Yes,
they
sir.
the same brand?
Yes, sir.
That CCI brand?
Yes.
Both long rifle .22 caliber?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing else, Judge.
Thank you, Detective Schultz. You may stand down and you may call your next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The people of the state of Michigan, make sure I got the right one here. Call Detective Sergeant Tom Flowers.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
Thomas Flowers.
Sergeant Flowers, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thanks for being here. You are currently assigned to, or I should say, you are part of which department?
The Michigan State Police.
And how long have you been with the Michigan State Police?
22 years.
And your current assignment is with what division?
I work in the Forensic Science Division.
And in particular, do you carry a specialty?
My specialty is latent fingerprints.
Okay. Now, are you also part of what we call the Mobile Crime Lab?
Yes, I am.
What is that, please?
It is a team that we have at the Grand Rapids Laboratory, and we respond to any major crime scenes on the west side of the state that we're requested to.
Okay. And was that Mobile Crime Lab asked to come out on May 17, 2016?
Yes.
And in particular, were you part of that team?
Yes.
And do you recall, sir, what your assignment was?
We were asked to search a vehicle that was seized in an attempted child abduction case.
Okay. Now, I jumped one photo ahead of myself. People's Exhibit 1, does that look familiar?
Yes,
Is that the vehicle that you were requested to search?
yes.
And your part in the search was what, sir?
Part of it was to search for latent fingerprints, but in general, just to see if we could develop any evidence that was inside the vehicle.
Okay. And were you able to discover things?
Yes, we were.
Okay. Let's talk about it. First, this is People's Exhibit 17. What are we looking at in this photograph?
2 handheld Sony video cameras.
And do you recall, sir, where these were found in the vehicle?
They were found in a locked toolbox in the rear compartment of the vehicle.
Okay. I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 124H and 125H. Have you grab those one at a time? Are those the 2 video cameras depicted in People's Exhibit 17?
Yes, they appear to be.
Okay. Let's move on to People's Exhibit 18. What are we looking at in this photograph, Sergeant?
That's a black metal toolbox that we found in the rear storage compartment of the van.
Now, is that the storage compartment where you found that, is that in this photograph?
Yes, it is.
And maybe just so the jury gets an understanding, there's a stick here. Can you point out?
Sure. This area right here, I believe that's typically the space where the seat in some minivans would fold down and tuck up underneath there, and that way you'd have more storage space. In this case, the seat was up, but yet the toolbox was down in this compartment.
Okay. And was it found as it is depicted, it had a padlock on it?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Now, did you get an opportunity to observe the items inside that toolbox?
Yes.
All right, let's talk a little bit first about on the inside cover. This is People's Exhibit 19. Do you recall seeing this?
Yes, I do.
And did you have any idea or an understanding of what it was?
After looking at it a little bit closer, it appears to be injection sites.
Okay. And this, just for the, I'm going to pull the toolbox out here in a second, but
Okay.
for the jury's point of view, this was located where?
When you open the toolbox, it would have been under the lid. It was just taped with clear tape under the lid of the toolbox.
Okay. Let's grab. Got some gloves for you too, Sergeant.
Okay.
This is People's Exhibit 126H. Could you describe to the jury what that is, please?
This is the packaging that we wrapped the toolbox in.
Okay. I'm going to allow you to open it up. You need some help? You want us to kind of
See if I can get this open here.
Look at it.
See if we can get it.
Now, is that the same toolbox that was depicted in People's Exhibit 18?
I don't know which number you're referring to. It's not on the screen.
Oh,
It's the lid's on the screen right now.
Let me show you. I'm sorry. There's a book in front of you too, but this is worked out pretty good. 8.
Yes,
Same box.
same box.
Okay. Now, when you open up the box into the contents, can you describe for the jury, maybe we'll go one by one here, the items that you discovered. And I'm going to flip to People's Exhibit 20. Let's talk about this. Where did you find these items?
These items were all within the box.
What are we talking about?
We have a set of handcuffs attached to a chain, another section of chain, metal J-hook, a section of rope, 2 4AA batteries, and a partial leather strap that you can see in that photo.
Okay. That was all contained within the toolbox.
Yes.
People's Exhibit 21, what are we looking at in this photograph?
That's the partial leather strap with red ball attached and a single AA battery also within the toolbox.
And is that commonly called a ball gag?
Yes.
Now, I don't think. Outside of that, because I don't have a photograph of it, were there other things in that toolbox maybe we can display this for the jury?
Sure. Maybe just to hold them up and set them off to the side. Some of it's been repackaged since I saw it. That's hair evidence. There are 2 Polaroid photographs depicting 2 nude females and 1 male wearing underwear. I'm unaware what that is. File package.
We're going to get to that in a second.
Okay. 1 metal lockbox containing 2 pair of nitrile gloves and a container of 22 long rifle ammunition. A single Mizuno leather glove. Another pair of Reebok leather gloves. The chain and handcuffs that we already mentioned. The J-hook we already mentioned. The ball gag that we already mentioned. Another sexual toy. Section of rope we already discussed. Another metal bar with leather restraints on the ends. Another purple sexual toy. A tube of lubricating jelly. 1 more section of chain. A handwritten letter with names and addresses on it. And another typed letter with names and addresses on it. Batteries we already discussed, and 1 empty lisinopril jar and 2 keys. 1 handcuff key and 1 random key.
Okay. That essentially illustrates the contents of the box that you discovered.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And I know, and maybe you could just show the jury the injection site that you're talking about.
That was right here under the lid.
Just for the record, Sergeant Flower, some of the things you came through, People's Exhibit 23 was that small kind of safe box that had the gloves and the ammunition in it.
Yes.
And the type of ammunition is what?
CCI 22 long rifle mini mag.
Okay. We went through it. Now, let's talk about outside the toolbox. What else did you discover?
Inside the vehicle?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
There was another black lock box, very similar to this one, underneath the driver's seat.
All right. I'm going to have that here for you in just a second. While we're getting that squared away, let me show you marked as People's Exhibit 25. In that lockbox, what did you discover?
We discovered a Walther P22 semi-automatic pistol.
And the ammunition that was loaded in the magazines, do you know what brand it was?
I believe it was marked with a single C.
And you know what that C stands for?
I believe it stands for CCI.
Okay. Same long rifle, 22 long. These are 22 caliber bullets in this?
Yes.
All right. Now, besides the gun in that particular little bit larger safe, what else did you discover?
There was a long list of evidence in that small container. Would you like me to refer to my report?
Please. I'm going to throw up People's Exhibit 24.
I can refer to my report or just list it right off the screen.
Well, let me ask you this. In this particular picture, People's Exhibit 24, does that contain the items that were discovered in that Century kind of safe?
Yes, it does.
All right. Could you describe what you found, please?
There's a single steel cable. There's a blister pack containing 7 blue pills. There's 1 vial of insulin, 4 syringes with orange caps, 2 contacts marked left or right, 1 individual orange cap, 1 black straw, 1 magazine for the pistol, and 1 single cartridge for the pistol.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 127H. Can you describe what that is? And I'm happy to help.
Yeah, I'll need something to cut it. This is the container that would typically hold a pistol for evidence.
Just so we're sure here, Detective or Sergeant, that gun isn't loaded, is that correct?
It is not loaded.
All right. Could you display that for the jury, please? And is that the Walther 22 that's depicted in People's 24 as well as People's 25?
It is.
Okay. And again, that was discovered where?
In a lockbox underneath the driver's seat.
Okay. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 128 and 129.
Let me go ahead and open these.
No, you don't have to. You can
Okay.
just describe it.
1 22 caliber magazine from Weapon containing 10 22 cartridges, and 1 22 caliber magazine containing 7 22 caliber cartridges.
And I think those magazines are the ones depicted in People's Exhibit 25.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the lab work you did. First and foremost, you indicated that your specialty, anyways, is in the print.
That's correct.
Print division, is that correct?
That is correct.
And just in general, can you describe for the jury the process you went through in trying to see what, if any, prints you could discover?
Well, every object is slightly different, but a lot of the non-porous smooth objects like the toolbox or the pistol or some of these other lock boxes, I use a process called superglue fuming. It's a process where you put these items in a chamber, you'd heat up superglue, which contains a chemical called cyanoacrylate. Once it vaporizes, it will adhere to the side of non-porous smooth objects. You may be able to see some of it on the side of the black toolbox. That will make the fingerprint visible, if there are any. And at that point, if I saw any fingerprints that I thought were identifiable, I would photograph them and attempt to make an identification from those photographs.
And as it relates to the items that we've kind of went through, did you attempt to find fingerprints on those?
Yes, I did.
And which items?
I was able to the items that I was able to find fingerprints on.
Let's talk about the items that you tested first, and we'll get to what you found.
I believe I tested all of these items plus some for fingerprints.
Okay. And as a result, were you able to make any identification?
Yes, I was.
All right. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 130H. What is that, sir?
That is one of the reports I offered on this case regarding much of the evidence that we just went through.
Okay. And in particular, is this your latent print report?
Yes, it is.
And does that indicate any conclusions you're able to make?
Yes, it has the two identifications I was able to make.
All right. Can you describe for the jury, sir, what they were?
Sure. I was able to identify one right thumb fingerprint from a paper typed names from sex kit, and that was the paper I referred to earlier that had names and addresses taped on it, to Jeffrey Willis. I was able to identify another right middle finger underneath the lid of this toolbox to the right middle finger of Jeffrey Willis.
Okay. So you were able to discover in two of the items, the toolbox being one, fingerprint of the defendant.
Yes.
All right. Now, I don't know, you probably weren't involved in this, but were you aware that the state police, in fact, going back to People's Exhibit 24, the insulin and the needles, were you aware that your department actually sent that on to the FBI?
I was aware of that.
For testing.
I was aware of that.
And is it safe to say because the lab doesn't have the capability or doesn't test for that, or how does that work?
I can't really speak to the drug unit's capabilities. I'm not sure why I went to the FBI.
Gotcha. Handing you what's been, well, I will say, Judge, for the record, it's my understanding that Mr. Johnson's not going to object to this coming in. That's what we stipulated before.
What number is that?
That is 131. That is an FBI laboratory report.
Okay. Received.
People's Exhibit 131, FBI lab report. What does it say?
It lists items 1 through 5, vial labeled insulin, 1 syringe, an unknown liquid substance from item number 2 syringe, a syringe L26, a syringe L26, another syringe L26. Their numbers are 3, 4, and 5 on that. That is the evidence that they examined.
Okay, and did they make a determination as to the liquid that was contained therein?
Yes, their interpretation says human insulin and insulin lisopro are not differentiated by the methods that were used. Results were human insulin, insulin lisopro was identified within item 1 and item 2 liquids.
Okay, so item 1, if I heard you right, item 1 being a syringe that was filled with liquid, and item 2 being the actual bottle. Do I have that?
Item 1 is the vial labeled insulin lisopro injection, and number 2 is syringe. Our number was L26.
Okay.
And they have item 2-1 is unknown liquid substance from item 2 syringe.
Okay. So the liquid in the vial depicted here that you discovered is human insulin, and according to the FBI.
According to the FBI.
And the liquid in the syringe, which appears to be, I guess, full, for lack of a better way to describe it, was determined to be human insulin as well.
Correct.
Okay. In your search of this particular vehicle, did you come across any airsoft guns?
No.
Did you come across any fake or toy guns?
No.
Your Honor, I would start with the photographs. I would move for the admission of people 17 through 25, which is the photographs that Sergeant Flowers testified to.
No objection.
Okay. Have you received?
I believe that People's Exhibit 124, I'd move for the admission of that, which is a toolbox and its contents, which Sergeant Flowers has testified to.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's 26?
124.
124 is the video camera?
Supposed to be 25.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I didn't write it down on my notes. Let's start over. 126 is the toolbox.
You mean photos or the actual toolbox?
The actual toolbox and its contents.
17 through 25 are the photos.
That's correct. Working backwards here just a little bit, because I don't think I moved for the admission of this, but in your report, which is People's Exhibit 130, is there anything that's different than the original one that you authored for this particular case?
No, there's not.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of 130, which is Sergeant Flowers' report.
May I see the document very briefly, Your Honor? No objection, Your Honor.
Have you received?
All right, now, get the sequence right here, and we'll be good. Exhibits, I'd also move for the admission of People's Exhibits 124 and 125, which are the two video cameras seized and testified to by Sergeant Flowers.
No objection.
Received?
Unless Mr. Johnson corrects me if I'm wrong, I think we admitted the toolbox, which was 126.
Correct.
All right. Then I would move for the admission of People's 127, which is, just make sure I get that, which is the handgun, the P-22, that was discovered and testified to by Sergeant Flowers.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received?
Then I would also move for the admission of Exhibits 128 and 129, which are the two magazines that go to the handgun that were seized and packaged separately, also testified to by Sergeant Flowers.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received?
I think. All right. I do not have any further questions of Sergeant Flowers. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Sergeant Flowers, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sergeant Flowers, during your direct examination, I heard the prosecutor mention on a couple occasions that described one of the syringes as a syringe full of insulin. And I don't remember seeing any document that quantifies the amount of insulin that was in any particular syringe. Do you remember seeing something like that?
That gave a quantity?
Yes, sir.
No, sir, I don't.
Okay. Do any of your reports say this syringe was full of insulin? Any
My
note?
specific latent fingerprint reports?
Yes, sir.
No, they wouldn't address that. The FBI's report may address that.
Is the FBI, isn't that still in front of you there?
It is.
Would you take a look and see if it addresses whether or not the syringe is full or the quantity of insulin in the syringe?
They just give containing unknown liquid. That's how they describe it in their report.
Okay. They don't give you a quantity, and they don't specify full, half empty, anything like that?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay. Now, you found my client's prints on a couple of items, the toolbox. Wait, how did you get into the toolbox? It was locked.
We have bolt cutters as part of our crime scene response kit.
All right. And this, you were called to this location to investigate my client's vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And do you know if my client was in custody at that time or not?
I don't know for a fact if he was or not. I assumed he was, but I don't know that.
All right. Did anyone ask for a key to that box, or the vehicle for that matter?
I believe we had the key to the vehicle.
You have the key to the vehicle?
I don't have the key to the vehicle. I believe the key to the vehicle was there.
Okay.
I don't know 100%, but I think it was.
When you went through the vehicle was unlocked?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as I saw the photographs there, you had the latex, the blue latex gloves on when you went through these materials. Is that correct?
We wear nitrile gloves if you want to get particular, but yes, we had rubber gloves on. That's true.
The nitrile?
Nitrile.
Okay, not trial. Thank you. And when you seize evidence like that, it's all out in photographs right now. Is it after you're finished photographing? Is that when you put them in the bag and seal them and that sort of thing for posterity?
For evidence security, yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Just a moment. You mentioned, did you give us the complete list of what you found in there, what you seized at the time in your reports?
I believe there's additional evidence that was taken out of the vehicle.
Okay. Do you know if you found any bullets that were lead, as opposed to lead copper as the ones you found?
I don't know. That would have gone to our firearms unit, and they would have done that examination.
All right, thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Let me stand down.
Judge, can we have him kind of load some of this stuff up so it's not kind of laying around? I should have had to do that. Put this back in order.
Yes.
People of the state of Michigan call Detective Chad Peterson to the stand.
And do you swear that testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat, state your name for the record.
My name is Chad Peterson. I work for the Sheriff's Department.
Good afternoon, Detective Peterson.
Hi there.
I think you indicate you work for the Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
18 years.
And how many years total police do you have?
Probably just a little over 18 years.
Okay. All with one department?
No.
Who else did you work for?
I also work for Newaygo County Sheriff's Office and the City of Whitehall
All right. And your current assignment is what?
with the Detective Bureau with the Sheriff's Office.
And in particular, are you, I mean, I know there aren't separate divisions, but do you have a particular task that you are usually engaged in?
The Evidence Control Officer.
Okay, what does that mean?
I handle the evidence that comes through the sheriff's office.
Okay. Back in May of 2016, did you work for the same department, have the same responsibility?
I did.
And do you recall being part of a search team that searched 1842 South Sheridan?
Yes.
And why, on that particular day, were you interested in that particular residence?
We had information that the person living there was a suspect in an investigation that we had.
Now, obviously, you were armed with a search warrant when you did this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, your role then at 1842 South Sheridan was what?
I took pictures of the home along with the evidence. I seized the evidence and transported the evidence.
Okay. Now, were you aware of who the homeowner was?
I was.
Who?
Jeffrey Willis.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you discovered. First, as we look at People's Exhibit, proposed Exhibit 26, what is this?
This is the Jeffrey Willis home.
Okay. And People's Exhibit 27?
Again, the Jeffrey Willis home.
Okay. Now, was that when you folks were there searching? Was there anybody at home?
There was no one there.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about what does People's Exhibit 28 show us?
That's a Bursa handgun.
Okay. And can you describe for the jury where you found that?
That was found in a dresser drawer in the master bedroom of that home.
Handing has been marked as People's Exhibit 132. Can you describe what that is, please?
Again, this is the Bursa handgun that was in the picture that we're looking at.
And just for the jury's information, that gun isn't loaded? Is that correct?
No, it's not loaded.
Okay. That same gun that's depicted in 28 is the one that you seized, which is in People's Exhibit 132?
Yes.
Moving to People's Exhibit 29. What are we looking at in this photograph?
That's a WD My Passport external hard drive.
And where did you find that?
Again, in a dresser drawer in the master bedroom.
Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 133. Can you describe what that is, please?
Again, would you like me to open it?
No, you don't.
Okay. Again, this is the WD My Passport external hard drive that's depicted in the picture.
Okay. Now, along with other detectives, were there folks there from the Computer Crimes Unit?
Yes.
And what was their purpose?
Again, if we found anything, I guess I would say that was digital, computer related, maybe phone related, they would be able to work with it if need be.
Okay. So they had, I guess for lack of a better way to describe it, mobile capabilities a little bit?
Yes.
All right, showing you what's People's Exhibit, or marked as People's Exhibit, I should say, 30. What are we looking at here?
That's a Asus computer tower.
And where was this found?
That was in the master bedroom of the home.
showing you what's marked as People's Exhibit 134. What are we looking at here?
This is the ASUS computer tower that's depicted in the picture.
All right. People's Exhibit 31. What are we looking at in this photograph? What of interest did you collect?
I believe we took the SD card and the thumb drive that are in the center of the picture near the change that's seen.
There should be a stick there. If you could just point that out.
It would be this right here and that. The thumb drive on the left, and the SD card on the right.
Handing what's been marked as People's Exhibit 135. What is that?
This is the thumb drive.
The longer black item, right?
Correct.
All right. Labeled, this is People's Exhibit 32. What are we looking at in that photograph? Sorry.
Those are needles or hypodermic needles inside of a pink pouch, zipper pouch.
Okay. And do you recall where these were found?
These were found in what I refer to in my report as the pink room, pink bedroom.
Okay. And that obviously was inside the house.
Correct.
And where in location to the bedroom, do you remember?
It would be the room right next to the master bedroom, off the same hallway.
Okay. And what's been marked as People's Exhibit 136. What do we have there?
Again, these are the orange cap syringes that are in the picture that we're seeing.
Now, do you recall, Detective, obviously syringes have a cap that protects the needle so you don't poke yourself.
Yes.
Did these syringes have that protection?
Yes.
Now, did they also have a cap, a bigger cap that protected the plunger?
I don't recall.
All right. If we broke that open, would that help
Yes.
refresh your memory a little bit?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you these scissors.
Sure. Okay. Yes. The orange cap that covers the plunger?
Yes.
Yes.
There is a separate cap that protects the plunger. Is it safe to say, from what you see there, that cap is wider, a little fatter than the one that protects the needles?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, as part of the interior, or I guess as part of the exterior search, did you also search what's depicted here in People's Exhibit 33?
Yes.
What are we looking at there?
That's the shed that's on the same property as Mr. Willis's home.
Okay. start with People's Exhibit 34. What are we looking at in that photograph?
A green canvas bag, a camera bag.
Okay.
What exhibit number is that?
That is, this picture is Exhibit 34, Judge.
34.
Yes, sir. And was that located, looks like maybe in a cardboard box
Yeah, that was inside the shed.
inside the shed? Okay. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 137. You don't need to open that up, but what does that package contain?
Yeah, this is the Sony brand green canvas bag.
The one that's depicted up here in People's Exhibit 34?
Yes.
Okay. Now, within that particular bag, were there other items that were discovered?
There were camera accessories. I believe there's a folding knife.
Do you recall discovering any micro cassette tapes?
I believe there was inside the green canvas bag.
All right. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Detective Peterson, but obviously you were just tasked to photograph and seize. Were you part of the actual search that found this, or did another detective find it?
I believe another detective found this item.
Okay. Lisa Ferres?
Correct.
Okay. All right. People's Exhibit 35. What are we looking at here?
A Ziploc baggie is what the picture is being taken of.
Now, you took this photograph, is that right?
Correct.
And I know that's a close-up, and I'm going to go back to 33. Can you describe for the jury kind of where that was discovered or how that was discovered?
Inside the shed, there's actually I guess I would call it an attic that you could crawl up into, and looking at this picture on the left side of the shed, if you follow the roof line down on the inside of the shed in the attic, where the attic floor and the shed roof meet, in between the joists, there's spaces, and the picture of the Ziploc baggie, that item was found in between the joists in that location.
So, was it something, I guess my question is, was it something that you walk in and you would see it? I mean,
No.
it would hit you in the face kind of thing?
No.
Are you suggesting that it's something that actually you had to dig for?
Yeah, you would have to specifically look in that little spot up in the attic area, along the edge of the flooring of the attic and the roof, to see the item.
Okay. People's Exhibit 36, what are we looking at there, sir?
That is the Ziploc bag after it's been removed from that location in the attic.
And do you recall what was discovered? Well, inside the Ziploc bag, what is I guess that shiny material?
What we found inside the Ziploc bag was its tin foil, and wrapped inside the tin foil was some form of clothing that we later found to be women's underwear.
All right. You remember how many pairs?
I believe there was just one pair.
All right. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 138. What are we looking at in that exhibit, please?
Again, this is the plastic Ziploc baggie with articles of clothing and the tin foil with the underwear.
Okay. Let's see that real quick. Okay. And is that, I guess, what's depicted in People's 36, is that what's in People's 138?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you recall? Let's see, quick. Now, do you recall performing a second search at that address at on a different date?
Yes, I believe it was May 25th.
Okay. And in particular, in People's 37, what are we looking at in this photograph?
What the picture of is a cold air return vent that was in the living room area of Mr. Willis's home, specifically on the east living room wall.
All right. And in searching that, and I'm assuming, well, I guess you tell me, when you guys, or when the team searched, was it open like that, or did somebody actually have to open it?
No, we had to open it and look inside it.
Okay. And when you looked inside, what did you discover?
In the picture here, you can see black cords. They're actually attached to a second WD My Passport external hard drive that we actually found Velcroed to an inner stud of that east wall. And the way to get to it was through the cold air return vent.
Showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 38. Is that the My Passport that you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay, now, the photo is what number?
38.
Okay. Photo is number 38.
Correct. 37 and 38. They're two separate photos.
Wait a minute, you said 37? and 38?
So I had Detective Peterson talk about Exhibit 37, which was a picture of the cold air return
Right.
door open with the black cords,
Right.
and he described being attached to a hard drive.
Right,
38 is a picture of that hard drive that they found.
okay, so that's this one.
That's this one. Yes, sir. Handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 139. What do we got in that one?
Again, this is the WD My Passport external hard drive that's seen in the picture.
Okay. Finally, well, People's Exhibit 39. What is this a picture of?
The picture is of the red and orange shirt in the center of the photograph.
Okay. And where did you find this?
Again, those were hanging in the closet in the pink room of the Willis home.
Same room that you found the syringes in?
Correct.
And do you recall, Detective Peterson, there appears to be a lot of clothes hanging in there. Do you recall whether those were a mixture of male, female, mostly female? How would you classify it?
I would say mostly male clothing in the closet.
Okay. Now, in your searches of the Sheridan house, did you ever find an airsoft gun?
No.
When you searched the shed, did you find an airsoft gun?
No.
When you searched the house on Sheridan, did you find a toy or fake gun?
No.
How about when you searched the shed? Did you find a toy or fake gun?
No.
Move for the admission of exhibits 26 through 39. Those are the photographs that Detective Peterson has testified to.
There's no objection to the photograph, Your
Okay, I want to know what exhibit number 33 was.
Exhibit 33, Judge, was the outside picture of the shed.
Okay. And what was exhibit 35?
35 was the close-up inside the shed of the plastic Ziploc bag kind of tucked in the rafters.
So you want in 26 through 39, correct?
Yes.
All right, those will be received. Now in the 100s, what numbers do you want?
All right. Exhibit 132, which is the Bertha handgun recovered from the house, testified by the detective.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 133, which is the WD hard drive found in the master bedroom, discovered and testified by Detective Peterson.
No objection.
Both received.
Exhibit 134, which is the Asus Tower computer, which was in the master bedroom.
No objection.
Received.
Exhibit 135, which is the thumb drive found in the master bedroom, I think on the desk underneath the computer monitor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received.
136 is the syringes, bag of syringes from the pink room.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received.
137 is the green camera bag found in the shed.
Your Honor, while you're on that particular,
All right.
Detective,
On
you have
137.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Is that bag in front of you, 137?
Yes.
Your Honor, may we open that particular exhibit, please?
Okay.
Got scissors?
Yeah, right here. Why don't you open it?
Want me to open?
Yeah, please.
Do you want me to wear gloves?
You'd be probably best.
Yeah.
You have the gloves? No.
I have, oh, here we go. You want the other mount?
Hold on, please. Please use it. Thank you, that's what I wanted to say. I have no objection, Your Honor.
All right, you received. That's exhibit 137.
137, yes, sir. Exhibit 138 is the bag containing the Ziploc bag, I believe the foil, and pairs of underwear. Correct.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, received.
Exhibit 139 is the second Western Digital hard drive.
And no objection.
Received. Okay.
I do not have any other questions of Detective Peterson.
Thank you. Detective Peterson, you testified that during your experience, you searched that particular premise on 2 different occasions.
Yes.
So are you familiar with what a gun sight looks like?
Yes.
Okay. And either of those occasions, and anywhere in that home, did you discover a gun sight? One that would fit on a .22?
No.
Okay. And did you find any gun sight caps?
No.
Okay. Could you bring, one of the reasons I asked you about the Exhibit 137, Detective, is that the bag in there is green, but the photograph that's supposed to be of that bag is 34, is up on the screen behind you, appears to be black or a dark color. Can you explain the difference in color? If you look behind you, you can see the photograph I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've got the same thing.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Maybe the coloring of the daylight.
Why don't you pull the, oh, you took the gloves off again, didn't you? I'm sorry. The bag we saw had striping across the top that this bag doesn't have. Do you remember that when you took it out? I'm going to have to ask you to pull out again so we can
Okay.
take a look. I'm sorry. Now, just hold it up for us, would you please? Now, if you look at the top of that bag, like you look at the top of the bag in the picture behind you, there's straps that go across that bag, all across the top. Is there not? Yes.
Correct.
That bag doesn't have any straps, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
It looks like it has a handle.
It looks like, okay. The question is, however, that's supposed to be a picture of that, is it not?
I believe at the bottom of the picture,
Yes, sir?
I think in that same box is where the green canvas bag was at.
Okay, so that 34 is not a photograph of that canvas bag you have in your hand. Is that correct? Would you agree?
I would say yes.
Okay, thank you. And you can put it back, and I won't ask you to put the gloves on.
No problem.
Is there anything else in that bag? Inside the canvas bag? No, I don't mean inside the bag itself. I mean inside your...
No.
Okay, thank you. Good. Counsel, would you be so kind as to bring up Exhibit 34, please? I'm sorry. It is up. How about Exhibit 32? Detective, do you have the Exhibit 32 on your monitor there as well?
Yes.
Okay. As I look at that, first of all, based on your experience, is that a lady's handbag or something along those lines?
I believe that would be a lady's handbag,
Okay.
a zipper bag, some type.
It appears to me as if some of those syringes are in sealed plastic bags, but others, the plastic bag has been broken. That the packaging has been broken. Do you see what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that the impression you have, that some of the bags are sealed but others are broken and open?
Yes.
Do you know if any of the syringes are missing from any of the broken package? Do you know or not? Whether...
I don't recall that.
Thank you. Let's see, there was the photograph of the cabling, let's see. The air vent. Exhibit 37?
Certainly.
Thank you. As I look at that photograph, there seems to be multiple wires in that photograph. Is that one wire connected to itself or multiples?
I don't recall.
Okay. Could you turn to the next exhibit, please? I think it's 38.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what those wires are supposed to be connected to?
The wire, I believe it's just the one wire coming off the external hard drive.
Okay. But if you, back to 37, please. And then I'll take note of the difference in the wiring there. Are there multiple wires there in 37, or those aren't all to the hard drive, correct?
I believe they're not.
Okay. So during the course of your searches, did you recover any packages, any bullets?
I believe on the second search, I believe we found some bullets in a safe.
Were you in, bullets in the safe. Did you package those yourself or did someone else do those?
I would have done that.
All Were you involved in any other searches involved in this particular series of events, and specifically Heeringa or Bletch?
No.
Did you encounter any blood during the course of your searches?
Not that I recall.
One moment, please. Oh, okay. What are your duties? What were your duties involved in this investigation? Was it just to do the searches, or were there other duties involved?
After collecting the evidence at the scene,
Uh-huh.
I also handle the evidence at our office. We'll often transport to and from
Okay.
to maybe the crime lab, as an example.
But only of the evidence of this searches, or were there other packages of evidence that you handled, that you managed, I should say?
Yes, there were other.
Okay. There were other evidence that you managed?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I'm asking you. Were you one of the lead detectives managing products located by others, or just with stuff that you found?
No, it would have been anything that was brought to our department.
Okay.
I would have handled that evidence at some point.
All right. So there is and it's coming up. There's a drop of blood at the crime scene with Miss Heeringa. Do you remember hearing about that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you know if you would have handled any of the materials from that scene?
I don't believe from the Heeringa scene, no.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor? Okay. Detective, I'm showing you what's, I guess it's marked as an incident report related property list, okay? And in that list, there are a couple bits of properties, and it's highlighted with Rebecca Bletch there and blood-stained droppings there. Is that something that you would have managed? Is that something you would have taken care of, sent on its way, make sure it's got the crime lab? I don't know. What do you do with that stuff, if anything?
Well, the dates that you pointed out were 6/30 of 14 and 7/1 of 14, and I was not the evidence control officer at that time.
Okay.
If we still would have had the evidence after that date when I started being the evidence control officer, I could have managed that.
All right.
Yes.
Would you, if that latter had occurred, if you were the evidence control manager after that, when you began, obviously, when you began in this case, you would have managed that particular material?
Correct.
And that list that I showed you is a tracking of where the evidence is that correct? Or who has the evidence, or who sent it where? Can you explain that to me?
What you handed me is 4 items that are listed in the RMS report for this case.
Yes, sir. And what does it tell me, other than that they're part of this case? They tell me who has them, they tell me where they went, they tell me where they sat.
There's a description of
Uh-huh.
them. Looks like there's a time frame reference. This,
Well, let me be
I
more
guess,
specific.
I guess maybe I'm not understanding
Okay.
your question.
Obviously, some of some of the evidence you seized were evaluated by others, not part of the Muskegon County law enforcement, correct? Some were sent by the FBI, some went to the Michigan State Police, some may have gone to Grand Rapids, that sort of thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Does that tell me who has where these materials are and when?
This is not a chain of custody
Okay.
form that I'm familiar with. To me, this is a print-off of the property listed in our RMS report system.
All right. So all that is to you is a list.
Yes, that's what if I needed a list, this is what I may print out.
Okay. And you're not, even with that list, you're not sure that you're the person who managed that particular property. That may have been before your time.
That may have been before my time.
Thank you, sir. All right. see the dates down there at the bottom, sir?
Does it say 2/11 of 16?
Does that have any significance to you? What does that tell you?
That I'm not sure what you're asking. I was not in the Detective Bureau on 2/11 of 16, if that's what you're asking.
Is that the date that information was entered into that, on that list? Is that the date it was received? Is that the date it was collected? Is that the date it was sent to a lab? Does it tell me anything?
Well, again, this is not the question you're asking me in our RMS report system.
Yes, sir.
This is not the form that I would look that information up in. So this is the first time I've ever seen this in this.
Okay.
I guess so. What you're looking at there is a timestamp. That's the date and time that you're asking me, with initials that are not mine attached to it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions?
I just have one follow-up. On 34, Detective, I'm going to fall on the sword. I put the wrong picture in. But if I understand it correctly, that bag was found within that box.
Correct.
There were maybe 2 camera bags, and I put the wrong picture up. Put the wrong picture in my PowerPoint.
Correct.
Is that safe to say?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. I have nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. You may stand down. Next witness, please.
Thank you, Judge. People of the state of Michigan called Detective Lisa Ferris to the station.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. State your name for the record.
Lisa Ferris, detective with the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department.
Detective, could you indicate, maybe you did already, I apologize because we were in a sidebar there, what department you work for?
I'm a detective with the Muskegon County Sheriff's Department.
And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
Been with the Sheriff's Department 17 years, and of those 17 years, 8 with the Detective Bureau.
Now, is it safe to say, Detective, that you were involved in a couple of the investigations in this case? Is that correct?
Yes, actually all 3.
And when you say all 3, you were part of the task force involving Jessica Heeringa?
That's correct.
And were you assigned to the investigation involving Rebecca Bletch?
Yes.
And lastly, did you assist in the Nygaard investigation?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Want to talk a little bit about. Well, I'll talk a little bit about. We'll start with Miss Bletch. Were you able to go out to the scene the night that Rebecca Bletch was killed?
Yes, I did.
And when you got there, I guess what was left of the scene?
When I first got there, I observed some things in the roadway, and I was also directed to those items in the roadway. And I was informed of the victim already being moved to the ProMed ambulance, which was on scene.
All right, just so we're clear on the items you're talking about. In particular, are you talking about this set of items?
Yes.
What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is a phone inside of a pink phone activity holder with earbuds, and there's some sunglasses also in that pile.
And where was this in relation to where Miss Bletch was found?
This was on the eastern edge of the roadway. Miss Bletch was on the very opposite side. She was on the west shoulder.
Okay. The other items that you were drawing your attention to were what?
There was a spent .22 cartridge in the center of the southbound lane, so between the items and Miss Bletch.
This is People's Exhibit 43, and I apologize for record purposes, the prior photo was 42. 43, can you there's a pointer, I think, right in front of you, if you could point out what you were talking about.
Okay, so the items on the east edge of the roadway would be up in here. The ambulance is kind of obstructing that. The 22 spent casing was right in this area, which is the southbound lane. And Miss Bletch had been over here. There were two blood-soaked areas where she had been laying.
Okay. So is it safe to say they were almost in a line with one another? The earphones and cell phone case in line with the 22 in line with the murder body?
Yes.
Now, is it safe to say, were you one of the lead investigators in the Rebecca Bletch matter?
Yes, I was.
And from the time this happened, this was June 29th of 2014, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Up until the arrest and discovery of certain items on the defendant, did you work that case?
Yes, I did.
Did you follow every lead you could?
Yes, I did.
And did you ever get to a point where you had, I mean, this is, again, prior to the defendant's involvement, any solid suspect?
No, we never developed a solid suspect in the case.
I want to talk a little bit now, fast forwarding to your role in the Madison Nygaard. When did you become in that investigation?
I was notified the day that incident happened and participated in investigations days following that.
Okay. Showing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 8. It's in front of you too, Detective, on that.
Oh, yes.
What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is
This is 8, number 8.
bluish purple artificial fingernail. We found this fingernail in the area of North Green Creek, where the incident happened, or
Okay.
where part of the incident happened.
Now, is this, we've had some testimony and seen some photographs of some scuff marks along the side of the road. Was that fingernail found in the same general facility?
Yeah, it was actually right in the area of the scuff marks.
Okay.
The disturbance in the gravel.
Now, did you aware of the Blueberry Farm video that was discovered?
Yes, I am.
And I want you to describe, because I believe you took these photographs, People's Exhibit 14. What are we looking at here?
Yes, I took these photographs. This is of the intersection of River Road and North Weber Road. This is from River Road, facing, well, looking northbound toward the Sodoni blueberry fields.
Now, in this photograph, do we see some of the buildings that belong to that blueberry field?
Yes, they would be up in this area.
Okay. So this is from the intersection of River and Weber, looking north on Weber.
That's correct.
All right. Exhibit 15, what are we looking at here?
So this is actually in the driveway of the blueberry fields, looking southbound toward the intersection of River Road.
Now, this is, it's been described, and I think we can even see in this picture, there are two driveways belonging to this blueberry farm, is that correct?
Yes.
And which one is this, the north or south?
This is the north driveway.
And from this vantage point, can you see all the way down to the intersection where the first photograph was?
Yes, you can.
And finally, People's Exhibit 16.
What number?
This is 16, Judge. What are we looking at here?
This is pretty much from the south portion of that same driveway of the blueberry fields. And then you can see the address there, looking southbound toward the intersecting road of River.
And again, from this vantage point, you can see, even in the photograph, the intersection of Weber and River. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, did you participate in the part of the investigation in this particular case involving the van and narrowing it down? In other words, the photographs that have been testified to in an attempt to figure out which van or who belonged to that van or who might belong to that van. Were you part of that process?
Yes, I was.
And it's my understanding. Give me 1 second. Your Honor, it's my understanding there's a stipulation between defense and I that the defendant bought his 2006 Dodge Caravan on March 18th, 2013. Bought it used at Van Andel and Flickerman. So we're stipulating to that fact.
We are? All right.
My question, and the reason why I got that out of the way, my question was determination of when the defendant bought his van, March 18th, 2013.
Yes.
Now, as part of kind of fast forwarding to when the defendant was arrested in the search, were you part of that search at 1842 South Sheridan?
Yes, I was.
And in particular, we heard some testimony about a safe or a sentry safe found underneath or in that van itself.
Yes.
And did you end up doing some work on where that sentry safe may have come from?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury what you did, please?
I received a document from our computer crimes unit with the Michigan State Police, and the document was retrieved from a flash drive that was found in Willis's residence at 1842 South Sheridan. That document contained account information for internet accounts, usernames for the accounts, and passwords for the accounts. I ended up submitting search warrants or subpoenas to each one of those 18 accounts and received records back from each one of the accounts. One of the companies on that document was eBay. And once we received the eBay records back, I was able to see a transaction for the Century safe that matched the description of the safe that was found under the driver's seat of Willis's van.
All right. I've got just a few documents that I need to relabel here. All right, I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 140. Can you describe what that is, please?
Yes, this is a response from eBay for the search warrant that I'd sent to their company. It shows registration information or user information for the defendant's account, which shows username God Part 2, the defendant's full name, address, and phone number.
Okay. And I know you were describing for the jury kind of the process that you received that after a subpoena or search warrant. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 141. Can you describe what that is, please?
This looks like the eBay transaction information for the defendant's eBay account. And listed in the transactions is described as new compact safe, 0.05 cubic feet mini storage.
And that was in reference, that is the safe that we've had some testimony about that was found in the defendant's van. Is that correct?
Yes. The PayPal information that correlates with this transaction provided a more in-depth description.
One step ahead. All right, handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 142. What do you have there?
This is the PayPal response that I received after sending the search warrant or subpoena to the PayPal company for the defendant's user information and account.
And what does that indicator say?
The document shows the defendant's full name, email address, username, account number, address. Just banking information.
Was this the method of payment as it relates to that Century Safe?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And is that indicated on that document?
I do not believe the transaction information is included in this one.
Did you also, speaking of, I guess we'll take it one step further, did you also take a look at sort of following the paper trail, so to speak, from eBay, PayPal, and then to the bank account?
Yes, I did. For this particular transaction, PayPal was used to pay for that safe, and the funds, PayPal pulled the funds from the defendant's checking account from the First General Credit Union, First Federal General Credit Union.
All right, handing you has been marked as People's Exhibit 143. What is that?
This is his bank statement from the credit union showing the funds withdrawn by PayPal for that transaction.
Okay. And finally, did you do some checking into, there was some testimony by Sergeant Flowers about finding some lubricating jelly. Did you do any background information on that?
Yes, we had submitted search warrants to different bank accounts that the defendant had. And once we received that information, I went through all the different accounts looking at transactions. I noticed that there were quite a few Meyer transactions on there and ended up speaking with Meyer Corporate, requesting basically a bunch of transactions within the time frames that we were looking at. And among those transactions, I observed a purchase for Meyer brand lubricating jelly.
All right, handing what's been marked as People's Exhibit 144. What is that, please?
This is the document that I received from Meyer after speaking with corporate, and it illustrates the transaction at Meyer for the Meyer brand lubricating jelly. That was on February 13th of 2013.
Okay. Now, did you also participate in the search of the shed?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And there's been some testimony about a green camera bag. And do you recall, and I'm not sure exactly if you found that or somebody else found that. Can you let us know?
There were a few different investigators searching the shed, and we had an investigator on the top portion of the shed, like up in the attic area, and he was handing items down to me, and we were logging them from there.
Okay.
And while he was up there searching, he handed down a green camera bag.
Okay. And in particular, inside that green camera bag, a couple of things of interest. Do you recall finding a printed out list?
Yes, there were documents and a list of U.S. serial killers, a printed page from the internet, 5 pages long.
Okay. I'm going to hand you a pair of scissors here, as well as People's Exhibit 145. Can you tell me what that is, please?
This is labeled on the envelope 5 printed Wikipedia pages for serial killers in the United States with handwritten mark by listed names of Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris.
Okay.
What number is that?
That is 145. In fact, is that what it is?
Yes, this is the list we found in the camera bag.
Now, you mentioned the two names, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris.
Yes, that's correct.
Why? I guess what drew your attention to them?
There's a hash mark next to these names in pencil. And following their names, it reads, kidnapped, tortured, raped, and murdered 5 girls in 1979.
Did they have did they have a particular nickname?
They were nicknamed the Toolbox Killers.
Now, did you place that pencil hashtag mark by their names?
I did not. It was like this when we found it.
Okay. Also handy what's been marked as People's Exhibit 146. What is that?
This is one Olympus brand micro cassette tape found inside the green canvas Sony bag.
And were you don't have to open it.
Okay.
That's okay. Were you aware of what was contained on that tape at all?
Not at the time, not until investigators reviewed it.
Okay. And were you part of that review?
Yes, I heard the recording.
All right. And what did you hear?
It was an answering machine tape. It was a message from the Norton Shores Police Department trying to get a hold of Char Willis.
And did you know, or do you know who Char Willis is?
Yes, it is the defendant's ex-wife.
Okay. And do you recall, well, strike that. Okay. In your searches that you were part of, both at the residence, I'll say, the residence and the shed, did you find any airsoft gun?
No, I did not.
In your search of the shed or the house, did you find any fake or toy gun?
No.
Judge, I would, based on Detective Ferris's testimony, I would offer People's Exhibits 8, 14, 15, and 16. Those are the photographs.
No objection.
What is 14?
14 is a picture of it's the detective standing at the intersection of River and Weber facing north.
Okay. So 8, 14, 15, and 16 will be received.
All right. Your Honor, I'd also move for the admission of People's Exhibit 140, which is the information on the eBay account.
Your Honor, may we see exhibits 140, 141, 145 before we...
You sure may. 141. There's 141. So that'll be
140 and 146.
140. And
I think you made... You have 145 there? You did.
What was it?
145,
I don't see any.
the killer list, I guess.
Oh, it's going to be in the evidence
sorry,
envelope.
back in here. Here you go.
Thank you. Counsel, would you renew your motion, please?
Yes, sir. 140. Moving to admit Exhibit 140, which is the eBay account information.
No objection.
Received.
Admitting or moving to admit 141, which is the I'm calling it the eBay winner list.
No objection.
Moving to admit 142, which is the PayPal information.
Again, no objections.
Received.
Moving to admit 143, which is the bank account information.
No objection.
Received. That's credit union, actually, right?
Credit, yes, I'm sorry, credit union, yes, sir. Moving to admit Exhibit 144, which is the Meyer transaction sheet.
Okay,
No objection, Your Honor.
received.
Moving to admit Exhibit 145, which is the serial killer list.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received.
And finally, Exhibit 146, which is the microcassette tape.
No objection.
All right, received.
I have no further questions of this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
State Affairs, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Detective Ferris, you mentioned that you've been involved in all three of these investigations at some point or another. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you ever, and you're a lead detective, is that correct?
On the Bletch homicide, yes, I was.
On the Bletch homicide, you were lead detective. Therefore, when information comes in about that case, it will be funneled to you for your evaluation and further decisions. Is that correct?
Yes, for the most part, either participating in or have knowledge of what other investigators are doing.
It was safe to say that if there's a major discovery, a major piece of evidence found, especially in the Bletch situation, it would be expected that you would be notified of it. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Were you ever notified of discovery of a laser sight?
In the Bletch homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
And were you involved in the other investigations? Were you ever notified of discovery of a laser sight?
In the other investigations, yes.
A cap or a sight?
Part of a laser site.
Okay. You found a cap. A cap was found, correct?
I was
Nothing.
informed that it was a battery back to a laser site.
Okay. What about the laser sight itself? Beyond the back, beyond the cap, with the sight itself, the thing that you look through and you see what's on the other side.
The site itself was not found.
Thank you. Ma'am, I asked the gentleman that preceded you questions about a document that I have, and I was wondering maybe if you could help me a little bit here with this particular document. It's let me read the caption so for the record. It's incident report related property list. First of all, where I'm pointing there, are those your initials there? Where I think down there where it says
Yes. Yes, that is.
those are your initials?
Those are my initials.
Okay. Do you know why your initials are listed there?
I'm just trying to recall inputting this information.
How long have you been on this investigation?
Since June 29th, 2014.
So a long time.
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Yes.
So take your time.
Well, what we're looking at is, it says Rebecca Bletch blood,
Yes, ma'am?
and this appears to be the blood that was seized at the time of autopsy, which would be June 30th, 2014.
Do you have any personal recollection of that particular?
I was not at the autopsy. It would be Detective Gabriel at the
Okay.
time.
So would you have seen that particular exhibit? Would you have seen that particular piece of evidence?
I would not, but in investigating the homicide for 2 years,
Yes, ma'am.
I sat down with other investigators and organized this case very thoroughly,
Yes, ma'am.
and it appears that I inputted just a more thorough description as to what this piece of evidence is.
Is that liquid blood we're talking about? Or is that dry blood? Can you
This
tell me?
says autopsy, purple top tube containing Rebecca Bletch blood, seized by Detective Gabriel on June 30th, 2014.
Based on your experience as a detective, would you expect that to be liquid?
Yes,
Okay. In a tube, I would imagine.
yes.
Okay. And then there's the next date is about 20 months later. And that's the one that either precedes or follows your initials.
Yes.
Can you tell me what's going on there?
Okay, this is described as blood stains or drippings.
No, before that. Back with the liquid blood.
Oh,
The
sorry.
blood is seized on the 30th of 2014.
Yes.
And then the next thing that happens to it, or the next thing listed, is what? About
Yes,
20
that's what I
months.
read. It says autopsy, purple top tube containing Rebecca Bletch blood, seized by Detective Gabriel on June 30th, 2014, and then this information was inputted February 11th of 2016 by myself.
So the only thing that information tells me is that you're inputting that information
Yes.
into wherever it's going on that date.
Not where it's going. So during February of 2016,
Yes, ma'am.
this is when I sat down with Detective Sergeant Zach Sparks,
Yes, ma'am.
and we organized this case very thoroughly.
Okay.
And in doing that, there were so many pieces of evidence that it needed to be further described.
Okay. So the evidence is not being moved in that. That's not describing a moving of the evidence in that.
That's not what this section is for, no.
That's simply telling what day it was inputted.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was asking. Thank you. Could you pull up exhibit number 8, please?
Sir.
Could you zoom in on the fingernail?
I don't, I'll do my best.
Maybe.
I'll do my best.
There you go. Okay.
Is that good, or you want to know?
More if you can. That's not bad for a guy who doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's the fingernail that you found in investigating the Ms. Nygaard, correct?
That's correct.
And it looks like it's broken at the bottom,
Yes.
but do you see any other damage to that particular fingernail? From what you're able to see?
Just the broken portion where it's completely broken off.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Judge, I apologize. I had one thing, and I'll be quick, I promise. In your search of the Willis home, did you discover some receipts?
Yes, there were some receipts found in the defendant's bedroom.
Okay. It's 147, right, sorry. Handing you what's marked as 147. Was that one of the receipts that you discovered?
Yes, it was.
And in particular, why was that of interest to investigators?
This is a Sternberg ExxonMobil receipt with the cashier's name as Jessica at the top.
Is there a date and time stamp on that?
The date is January 29th of 2013. The time 9:11 p.m.
All right. Does it indicate what was purchased?
It shows gas was purchased. Yeah, it just shows gasoline purchased.
And that is a receipt that you collected,
Yes.
and that was found at the defendant's house.
Yes, and also at the bottom of the receipt, it does show the MasterCard with the last four digits of 1050 with Jeffrey T. Willis with that attached to that account information or that credit card.
Okay. Your Honor, I move for the omission of 147.
No objection, Your Honor.
I don't have any additional questions. So,
147 is received. Go ahead, did you have some?
Your Honor, I also missed one. Can I?
yes, you can.
I think, thank you.
Yes, sir.
May I have the court's permission as well? That's what. Detective, I'm showing you a document. Do you know what this document purports to be, first of all?
I don't recognize it without the entirety of the document. I know as we investigated the Rebecca Bletch homicide, let me see, we created a list, evidence list, all kinds of different lists, contact lists, and it appears that this may be part of that.
Is that something you inputted or someone else would have inputted?
I can't say without seeing the entire document.
Thank you. I don't have anything further, Your Honor.
I have nothing else, Judge.
Okay, you may stand down, thank you.
Thank you.
Have another witness ready?
I think my next witness, hold on a second here, Judge. Well, it just depends, how much longer do you want to go?
Whatever, what have you got? I mean, we'll go whatever you need. What do you got?
Well, I guess the next witness is relatively short if you want to go there and stop for the day.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go.
All right, Deputy, people would call Deputy Robert Kennard.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat. State your name to the record.
Deputy Robert Kennard, Muskegon County Sheriff's Office.
Deputy Kennard, how long have you been with the Sheriff's Department?
I've been with the Sheriff's Department almost 18 years, on the road patrol for 15.
15?
Yep,
And prior to that, did you work in the jail then?
I did.
Okay. Now, and you were assigned to road patrol, and you still assigned to road patrol?
Yes, was and am.
Back in June 29th of 2014, roughly around 6:10, were you assigned to the road patrol division?
Yes, I was.
And you recall being dispatched to a location on Automobile Road.
Yes.
And when the dispatch went out, what was the nature of the call?
Originally came out as a hit and run, a motor vehicle accident involving a pedestrian.
All right. And the Automobile Road that we're talking about is in Muskegon County,
It is.
state of Michigan.
Yes.
Now, when you arrived, what did you see?
When I arrived, there was a patient on the ground, and there was also a male and a female tending to her, and a firefighter that was on scene.
Now, if you look on your screen there, I've got up People's Exhibit 40. Where is this from?
That's that location on Automobile, south of Riley Thompson.
And is this a still shot from your cruiser?
It appears to be, yes.
Actually, your cruiser cam, I believe.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So as you're pulling up, this is what you see.
What number is that?
This is 40, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe you could point out the individuals that we're talking about here. There's a stick right here.
Yeah. So this is Mrs. Clint, Mr. Clint, and I don't think you can see him, but firefighter Anderson over here. He was, I think, getting his med bag out. And then this was our victim, later identified as Miss Bletch.
Okay. Now, when you get there, what were there life-saving measures being performed?
Yes, the Clints were performing CPR. I assisted in that act.
Okay.
Until fire took over.
So they started, you kind of subbed in, and then fire took over that procedure?
That's correct, yes.
Now, can you describe for the jury, Deputy, the condition that you observed Ms. Bletch to be in?
Obviously, she was not moving. She was laying on her back. Her facial features were swollen, and again, just non-responsive.
Okay. Did she ever regain consciousness to the point where she could converse with you or fire or the folks that were providing life-saving measures?
No, she did not.
Now, while you were on scene, did Ms. Bletch's body get moved at some point in time?
Yes, it did, eventually.
And where did it get moved to?
I got moved to the ambulance.
Now, after it was moved, what did you notice, or did you notice anything, I should say?
There was a large blood spot below her head, from the back side of her head.
I'm going to show you what's marked as People's Exhibit 45. What are we looking at here?
Blood stains from where her body was laying, from where her head was laying, particularly.
Okay. Now, after Ms. Bletch was moved to the ambulance, what did you do?
I basically secured the scene at that point. I contacted Detective Lieutenant Christensen, and initially I thought it was when I was a dispatcher, still under the impression it was a traffic accident, so Deputy Foster was eventually, as a traffic person, dispatched to the same area.
Okay.
So I contacted them, and I secured the scene.
Now, in your securing of the scene, did you notice anything unusual or of interest that might be of interest to investigators?
Yes, there was a couple things. First thing, obviously, there was a casing towards the center of the road on the blacktop, and there was also a pile of belongings on the opposite side of the road, a neoprene arm band that would hold, and with a phone, some headphones and sunglasses. They were stacked.
All right, I'm going to show you what's marked as People's Exhibit 41. What are we looking at here?
Just what I was speaking of, the neoprene case with the headphones and etc.
Now, is this on the same side or the opposite side of where Miss Bletch's body was?
That's on the opposite side, would be the east side of automobile.
All right, and this is a close-up. People's 42 is a close-up of that same?
Yep. Yes.
Now, do you recall when you first observed it, how did it look?
It was actually stacked in a neat manner, similar to that. It wasn't sprawled out. It was all concentrated in one location.
All right. And People's Exhibit 43, does that contain, you had mentioned finding a spent shell casing as well?
Yes.
All right, where is that?
You want me to point with this?
Please.
Towards the center of the road up here.
Okay. And then I think also in that picture, the other yellow circles, does that depict the what was in People's 45?
That's correct.
And finally, People's 44, what is that?
That's a cement casing for a firearm or a bullet.
And is that just a close-up of the one found in the middle of the roadway?
I believe so. I did not take the pictures, but it appears to be the same.
All right. Now, you indicated that your initial dispatch was for a potential hit and run. You approached it that way initially. Did that assessment change at some point in time while you were on scene?
Eventually, yes. After kind of the initial, it slowed down a little bit for me. Yes.
Okay. And what was discovered about Miss Bletch's demise?
Actually, it eventually Deputy Foster advised me that they found evidence of possible head wounds from a bullet and while they were inside the ambulance.
Okay. And are you aware whether or not was Miss Bletch pronounced dead at the scene?
I believe she was, yes.
All right. And outside of what you testified to, Deputy Kennard, did you have any other involvement in this particular investigation?
Not at that scene. I just the only other thing, which really I didn't do much of, was I accompanied the detectives down to talk to the husband, which I was just there for security. I didn't actually talk to anybody.
The exhibits, the photo exhibits that I showed you, are they all relatively accurate depictions of how you observed the scene that particular day?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of 40 through 45.
No objection, Your Honor.
Received.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Mr. Hilson, would you be so kind as to blow up that?
Sure.
That's when you know how to do it now.
Very good.
Yes. Thank you. Officer, Deputy, is that what you found?
I believe so. Again, I didn't take the photograph, but it was, yes. Here's what I was.
No further questions.
I don't have any other questions of this witness.
Can you stand down?
Yes.
Do you have another one?
No.
Okay, and I guess we're done for today. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude our proceedings for today. Just want to remind you that you may not discuss the case with anyone, or have any discussion with anyone involved in the case, or take in any media accounts of these events. Other than that, I hope you have a pleasant evening. We'll resume now.
Right now, we don't have anything in the morning.
Okay, so as of now, we don't have anything to impede us from starting at 9:30, so we'll see you back here at 9:30.